We acknowledge with gratitude and respect that we are gathered on the traditional territories of the Council of the Three Fires people. This land and its beautiful woods, dunes, creeks, beaches, lake waters, and sunsets have connected so many people through time. Lake Michigan holds deep significance for both Hazel and Clifford and their families. Both families have branches that immigrated to the United States via Chicago, out that way, who grew up in that city, and who were also married on the shores of Lake Michigan. With appreciation, we promise to be good guests while we are here too. To many of you who have traveled far to join us, thank you for allowing Hazel and Clifford to start their married life together, surrounded by a community of family and friends. I ask that we pause to feel the love coming from those who were unable to join us in person today, but who are here with us in spirit. The couple also wishes to extend special gratitude to the many helping hands who have made this weekend happen, recognizing that it is no small feat to put together a pop-up festival for 140 people on a beach in rural Michigan. So welcome everyone. Today we will make new memories and celebrate the journey that has brought us here. Okay, so as I was saying, 8 years ago, Clifford and I were partway. Oh, actually, I wasn't saying this. All right. So, anyways, 8 years ago, Clifford and I were partway through a 10-day bike trip around Lake Michigan. It's one of our finest accomplishments. It's actually one of my go-to facts about yourselves. In typical fashion, we set out off with an ambitious adventure with limited planning. To our great relief, Hazel's family offered us a place to stay after a grueling day of riding. Little did I know, but this was an important moment in Hazel and Clifford's relationship. Hazel and Clifford first met 8.5 years ago in college Spanish class. I had a chance run-in at the Austin Marathon. They had a chance run-in at the Austin Marathon that turned into an impromptu Valentine's Day date. They spent the semester cooking, going to concerts, and walking around Austin, and fell in love. But come the end of the school year, their relationship was at a crossroads. Both would be traveling that coming fall. Clifford to Philadelphia for a job, and Hazel to Hong Kong to study abroad. It was unclear if they would stay together. When our three-man peloton arrived in Pentwater after a 100-mile day of hills and headwinds, and also going around that 5-mile extension around that lake, Clifford and Hazel were so happy to see each other that they decided to give long distance a try. A 12-hour time difference was not about to stand in their way. And though it was just one choice among many in their relationship, it represents the kind of communication, affection, and trust that has formed the foundation of Hazel and Clifford's relationship as they have built their life together. Over the last 8 years, Hazel and Clifford have been confronted with a series of choices. They have grown older together and embarked on careers in grad school, cat ownership and long family hiking trips, dinner parties and extra challenging crossword puzzles, long runs and injury recoveries, neighborhood volunteer events, and many, many moving days. They have moved through the world that is both beautiful and heartbreaking, hand in hand, and they have been able to offer back to the world, and they have been able to offer more back to the world because of their connection, their love, and their support for one another. Hazel and Clifford would now like to invite their friend Alexa Jones to read a few passages from All About Love by Bell Hooks.
Thank you. This book was such an important piece of big transition in my life, so I'm really honored to be able to read it for you guys today. Love is the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. Love is as love does. Love is an act of will, namely both in intention and in action. Will also implies choice. We do not have to love, we choose to love. To truly love, we must learn to mix various ingredients, care, affection, recognition, respect, commitment, and trust, as well as honest and open communication. One type of love that Bell Hooks describes is what she calls a soul connection. A soul connection is a resonance between two people who respond to the essential beauty of each other's individual natures, behind their facades, and who connect on a deeper level. I've never used a Kindle. This kind of mutual recognition provides a catalyst for a potent alchemy. It is a sacred alliance whose purpose is to help both partners discover and realize their deepest potentials. While a heart connection lets us appreciate those we love just as they are, a soul connection opens up a further dimension, seeing and loving them for who they could be and for who we could become under their influence. Intensely connecting with another soul, we are made bold and courageous. Using that fearless will to choose and to commit ourselves to love, we are able to love truly and deeply and to give and receive a love that lasts, a love that is stronger than death. Thank you. Love you both.
Thank you, Alexa. Okay, so Clifford and Hazel asked me to basically come up with a reflection for that reading or whatnot, so here's kind of what I got with their approval. So I want to start with the Bell Hooks definition of love. So if you didn't catch it, to reiterate, the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. There's a good amount to chew on here. So, first of all, what is not mentioned? Love is some uncontrollable, cuddly feeling, right? This is a to extend oneself. So that means we're dealing with a verb, which means it's an action. She repeated this a lot in the book to make sure it got through. So, extend might even also imply exertion or difficulty. Okay, so we got that part down. Then the next part was that caught my eye, at least, was the spiritual growth aspect. So this caught my eye particularly because it reminded me of a concept that I've been pretty fascinated with for the past couple months, and this concept is called kenosis. So this is not a Star Wars planet, and it's not a custom that a consumer culture wants you to know about. It is a Greek word for self-emptying, giving and giving of yourself without thinking about yourself until you are exhausted and dog-tired. Think of George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life movie. He is the antithesis of selfish throughout that whole movie. Now, with this kenosis concept, as you self-empty, giving and giving, you don't end up giving away your whole self. You don't end up becoming a vacuum of nothingness. Instead, counterintuitively, this is where you actually grow, and then you actually suddenly have more to give. Think of George as that movie develops. He goes from helping friends and family up to being responsible for the well-being of the whole town, seemingly at the expense of his own future. But at the end of the whole movie, what does he see? Actually, he really has everything he deeply desires. Actually, he's been fully alive the whole time. Actually, he really is living a wonderful life. Actually, the whole town is spiritually indebted and grateful to him because he became the best version of himself. To quote his brother, George is the richest man in town, and he already had been for most of the movie. Advertisers don't want you to hear this because they want you to think that buying their product is what will fulfill you and give you a wonderful life. They are wrong. This kenosis path is better. To make this more a reality beyond just a great fictional movie, one of my heroes is St. John Paul II. He would have summed up this kenosis concept by calling it the law of the gift. He thought this is built into the human condition. So, by law, he likely means some kind of spiritual physics. So think like Isaac Newton's laws or whatnot. He says, responsible self-giving, not self-assertion, is the road to human fulfillment. So again, keep in mind the spiritual physics idea, right? This isn't just something that's going to be added to Christian ethics classes or anything. This is like a physical law, but it's, spiritual dynamics to it. He's saying this is how the world works, right? This is the dynamic of all human relationships. Again, he says, humans can fully discover their true self only in a sincere giving of self. Rephrased, to fully be yourself, you have to give yourself away. John Paul II then held up Mother Teresa as a living icon of this law of the gift. She lived a life of great happiness and fulfillment, giving herself away in the service of others. And as she did so, she grew more and more in love, and she was able to even more serve others. You've heard of vicious cycles? This kenosis, or law of the gift, is a virtuous spiral upwards. Honestly, it's also one of the coolest things I've ever heard, so I was happy to be able to talk about it. It's also cool because it's really practical and applicable. Like, you can consciously start trying to implement this in micro or macro forms at any level. Clifford and Hazel are about to put this to the test at possibly the biggest level out there, which is marriage. So, back to the bell hook's definition of love. We already mentioned how it's a verb, but here's the definition again. Love, the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. To will. So love is also a choice. Hazel and Clifford did, do, and will choose to love each other. From attraction in Spanish class to getting to know each other on first dates, they then chose to give dating a shot and began to at least show love to each other even before they said, "I love you." They chose to love each other even while continents apart, remaining exclusively committed to each other. They soon were reunited and continued to grow in love, beginning to make themselves a gift to the other. Every time they chose to act or show out their love for each other, it became a spiritual exercise of the heart, which is obviously the love muscle. And that muscle grew with exercise like any other muscle until loving became habitual. Now, finally, it is time for the biggest choice to love, to commit to marriage, where they are now on the threshold of saying their vows in front of everyone here that they freely choose to love each other for the rest of their lives. But this is not their final choice to love. This is just the choice that makes the rest of the future choices a permanent obligation to say yes to loving. That can and should sound daunting, especially on days when you come home sick or exhausted from work. But let's work back into this kenosis and law of gift. In marriage, the two spouses are making an equal mutual self-gift for each other. What should happen then every time they choose to love each other? That mutual self-giving should not only ultimately rejuvenate and strengthen them, it should also bind them more together as a couple. As Hazel and Clifford further give themselves away to each other, they further grow in love into one entity, one organism, one flesh. And they will become more fulfilled and more happy and even more capable of loving and more generous and even more truly who they were fully supposed to be together. And this love and generosity will extend even further out from between themselves to enable them to better love their neighbor. With marriage, they officially create one of these virtuous spirals of love that will produce tangible good not only for themselves, but for their family and families, their other loved ones and friends, and even for their neighbors and community. Vicious cycles of the world are slowly confronted and ultimately conquered by choices to love like the one we are about to witness. All right, he's on to the vows. So, because Hazel and Clifford come from families in which lawyers are well represented, they are cognizant that marriage is a contract and a legal union. As a married couple, they will be able to make big financial and health decisions as a team. This is a privilege that Hazel and Clifford do not take lightly, knowing that many couples have fought hard throughout history for the civil right to have their unions recognized. But Hazel and Clifford are also romantics and spiritual people. They recognize that marriage is one of humanity's oldest and most universal and most sacred cultural practices. A ritual often marks the beginning of the new stage of our lives. A ritual often marks a new stage of our lives, a kind of reckoning, an enriching of our personalities, a broadening of our rights, a change. Through the ritual of a marriage ceremony, a man becomes a husband, a woman becomes a wife, and two lives become one. Today, Hazel and Clifford, you stand before witnesses to make a public commitment to stand together as life mates and partners. With patience and trust in your partner, marriage will provide strong foundations for all the highs and lows and adventures ahead. Now, Hazel will read her vows to Clifford.
Clifford, you are my best friend. You are my creative collaborator who makes all of my work better. And I fell for you so hard and so fast because I keep falling because I think I always knew that you were the love of my life. I promise in marriage to be grateful every day for the good fortune that has brought us together and for this beautiful life that we share and the community that we've built. I promise to be present and to cherish every moment because it's a gift. I promise to try to make you smile, to make you laugh, to make all everyday's good ones to the best of my abilities. And when times are hard and skies are gray, I promise to be your sunshine so that you are never lonely. Thank you. Saying yes to marrying you is one of the easiest choices of my life, and I cannot wait to keep choosing you every day.
Now, Clifford will read his vows to Hazel.
Hazel, you're my dream girl, my lover, my partner in adventures near and far, my best friend, my firmest critic, my strongest supporter, my favorite person. You make me hopeful, excited, and grateful every day. I vow to respect you, your passions, your desires, and follow you on every adventure you take. I vow to work through every challenge we encounter with patience and selflessness. I vow to care for you and work every day to build a stronger relationship. I vow not to get stuck in my ways and keep evolving with you as our relationship grows. And I vow to surprise you and at least try to make you laugh every now and then. I love you, Hazel.
Alright, may I now have the rings? So you're going to take these. Yes. And if you want to continue the romance. Alright, and then I want you now together, if you would like to repeat after me. I take thee to be my lifelong partner, friend, lover, and spouse. I promise to hold you closer to me than anything else. I promise to stand by you through good times and bad, through sickness and health, and support you as long as we both will. May these rings forever remind you of the commitment that you have made here today. All right. So, two people in love do not live in isolation. Their love is a source of strength with which they nourish not only each other, but also the world around them. And in turn, we, their community of friends and family, have a responsibility to this couple. By our steadfast care, respect, and love, we can support their marriage and their new family they are creating today. We will do this. Will you who are present here today surround Clifford and Hazel in love, offering them the joys of friendship and supporting them in their marriage? If so, answer, we will. Could I hear it just a little bit louder? There we go. All right. Hazel and Clifford now invite Hazel's brother Otis to recite a wedding prayer.
Now you will feel no storms, for each of you will be shelter to the other. Now you will feel no cold, for each of you will be warmth to the other. Now there is no loneliness, for each of you is companion to the other. You are two persons, but there is one life before you and one home. Turn together to look at the road you traveled, to reach this, the hour of your happiness. It stretches behind you into the past. Look to the future that lies ahead. A long and winding, adventure-filled road, whose every turn means discovery. New hopes, new joys, new laughter, and a few shared tears. May happiness be your companion. May beauty surround you both in the journey ahead, and through all the years to come. Go this day to your dwelling place and enter into your days together. May your days be good and long upon the earth. Your adventure has just begun.
Hazel and Clifford, may you always walk through life as friends, partners, as equals, and now as husband and wife. And now, before all gathered here in witness, it is my great pleasure to introduce Mr. and Mrs. Clifford Vickery and Hazel O'Neill. You may kiss the bride.